Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and on this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. Somebody recently said in a comment that I rushed the intro. How do you want me to do it? Hello, my name is Vincent White, and we're here today pretending like we're on NPR. It's not me. I don't think it's me. We got a question here from YouTube user iTube5353 who says, can I still sue for discrimination if my coworker was treated more favorably but we share the same protected class, mental health disability? If it has to be a different protected class, should I focus on retaliation rather than discrimination? Okay, so for starters, if you have a discrimination case, mental health disability, whatever you want, disability discrimination, and a retaliation case, you bring them both. You don't have to choose, you bring them both. Now, it is always possible for you to share the same protected class as someone and experience more discrimination than them. I can give a lot of examples. So, good example would be, I'll even go with like the exact same mental health disability. A man, let's say like a male veteran with PTSD, will be treated very differently from a woman whose PTSD diagnosis, maybe everybody knows, came from like a DV situation, domestic violence, right? Generally speaking, we see that all the time. Like the way that gentleman, that veteran who served the country, it gets treated, it's like he's a ticking time bomb often, right? Which is not how PTSD works, but that is often how that person will be treated, while that woman there might be some sympathy, right? So right there, you've got the exact same mental health diagnosis, and one of them is experiencing heavy discrimination. And in that hypothetical we just described, the other one, the woman could in fact be experiencing favoritism on the basis of that diagnosis because people, oh, well, she had it hard, which I respect. I'm not deriding the behavior of treating that woman well. I'm saying, hey, to answer your question, look at this identical diagnosis for two different people, how it was carried out. Another example, I had a family member, no longer with us, generally a good guy, but pretty racist, if I'm being honest. And here's the thing. This gentleman, this family member, knew about 5 African-American men his entire life. And he liked every last one of them. He was friends with all 5 of those men. And it doesn't mean it wasn't racist. It means that all 5 of those men were charming, likable, hardworking men that he enjoyed interacting with and working with and chatting with. So in his mind, well, this guy's one of the good ones. He's not like them black folk on TV, which he didn't say it like that, but I'll tell you right off the bat, he was like, well, these guys are good. These guys are my buddies. Those other people, I don't know those other people. I hear they're not too good, right? And that was the logic of the racism, right? I'm not giving him a pass. Certainly, I'm not saying that was a bad thing to think and feel. Luckily, just so turned out that every single African-American person he interacted with in his life, so far as we know, was so gosh darn likable that he never acted on his racism, at least to an extent that we're aware of. Because, he had some thoughts, but his buddies were pretty cool, and he was cool with them, right? So what if, hypothetically, that person goes to work, that Caucasian, with his caucasity, and really friendly, likable gentleman who's African-American is working with him. Everything's great. And then a new kid who dresses away this white person's not too used to, and listen to music that this white person's not too used to, and maybe expresses himself in a way this white person doesn't much care for. Yeah, I think you're probably going to see a little bit of discrimination there that was not fully expressed with the charming, likable middle-aged coworker that the white person's caucasity failed to hone in on. Just said, I like you. I like you, and I like being friends with you because it makes me feel like I'm not racist, right? Like that's a common thing. So already we have people in the same protected class that are experiencing discrimination in different ways or to different extents because all people are not the same and human beings react to people in different ways, right? There's a lot of hypotheticals we can run on this, right? Now, let's go a layer deeper. You're saying you have the same protected class, which is a mental health disability. You both have a mental health disability, you and this coworker, and you feel the coworker is treated more favorably. Now, what you don't say is if you have the same diagnosis, then odds are you probably don't. So there's a lot of different kinds of ways to have a mental health diagnosis. Almost as many infinite possibilities as the human mind can produce. But we'll limit ourselves to the DSM-5, which sets out the common diagnosable mental health disabilities. So let's say, what do we have? We let's line up somebody with a pretty severe depression condition. They're functioning. They function with the disability. They're very depressed. But they show up to work on time. They do the work. They get everything done. And let's pick then a person with a bipolar condition, or a person with a schizophrenic condition, right? And they too show up on time, get the work done. When the bipolar person is manic, they might be a little chatty. I mean, listen, everybody's manic phase is a little bit different, but like, they might be chatty. And when they're depressive, things might be a little different, but they still get the work done. They're still safe in the workplace. No issues. I'll tell you right off the bat, the way people respond to somebody dealing with a bipolar condition or somebody dealing with the very different condition of schizophrenia. And I picked these two because I grew up with a family that had a lot of people with bipolar condition, and my mother was dealing with schizophrenia. And, you get to watch. You get to watch how people respond to people dealing with schizophrenia and bipolar, which are very different. And there is like an aggressive fear that will spring forth in many people when dealing with somebody with a bipolar condition. And it's not like the bipolar condition is what makes them aggressively angry. It's the diagnosis, learning of the diagnosis, right? Because we have this whole vernacular built up, like, oh, blah, 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 so-and-so went off on me, so-and-so is bipolar. That's not how that works. That's a colloquial, nonsensical, ignorant understanding of the bipolar condition. But it is how people think of it, right? So the person dealing with depression, perfect employee, model employee, very low-key, chill. They're suffering, but nobody sees it. Doesn't affect anybody. Perfectly fine. No issues in the workplace. Still protected class. Mental health disability. Same protected class as that bipolar condition or that schizophrenia, right? But the way they're treated, drastically different, because human beings have very strange ideas about different mental health disabilities. And depression is something that we as a society are starting to come to terms with. And I don't know if I'm going to say understand, but at least fear less. There's less of a fear or less of a antagonism towards people dealing with depression than there is towards people dealing with bipolar condition or schizophrenia. And I'm just picking random mental health disabilities, right? Now, so we've established not only can you have the same protected class as someone else and be treated differently, but within the mental health disability realm, the various diagnoses are treated wildly different. And listen, we can extend this, right? If somebody has a pain, physical disability, right? Nerve damage causing horrific pain, and they have to take, I don't know, opiates or some kind of heavy pain medication to get through the day, they're often going to be vilified and treated negatively. And listen, should they be operating heavy machinery or certain kinds of machinery on opiates? Well, no, I'm with you on that one. That might not be, under doctor's orders, as per doctor's orders and OSHA regulations and the recommendations of the pharmaceutical community. I'm not saying that person should necessarily do every job, that every accommodation would be reasonable for that person. But I am saying the likelihood that a person with a severe pain disability, the physical pain disability, will be vilified and discriminated against is far higher than the idea that somebody who's had their hand amputated will experience discrimination. Just the reality, right? So we can take it over to the physical disability realm and see that it's different as well. So I-2 5353, the answer to your question is yes. You can absolutely sue for discrimination under the theory that you are being treated negatively, you're experiencing discrimination, even though someone else in your protected class is being treated better. Now, you will need to explain the why. You will need to explain, because you have a narrative, right? You carry the burden of proving your case, and part of that is convincing people that what you're saying happened. So they're going to make the argument, the defense, invariably like, hey, I-2 5353 says she or he was the victim of mental health discrimination, disability discrimination. But Pierre Depardieu over here also has a mental health disability. It's a different mental health disability, but Pierre Depardieu is being treated wonderfully. Well, defense counsel just made your narrative more complex. And you're going to have to get ahead of that and be like, yeah. Okay, listen, we will agree that Monsieur Depardieu is being treated better. But it's because Monsieur Depardieu is somebody's brother-in-law, or has a different diagnosis, or is a Francophile, and the manager loves to speak French with Monsieur Depardieu, right? Like, it's just, like there's a million different ways that you can differentiate, and I'm not saying go out and make a fake differentiation. Make the real difference. Like, be honest. And also, if you're looking at the case and you're like, listen, I don't actually think this is disability discrimination because they treat Mr. Depardieu so gosh darn good, well, then why are we in this case? Let's be sincere about things, right? But I would say, generally, when I come to these cases, you can see, you can fathom, you can really understand and grok why the discrimination touches one person and not the other, right? Also, listen, there's a lot of cases, the reality of our industry is super charming, likable, attractive people have a lower rate of experiencing discrimination across the board. All forms of discrimination, right? It's just a reality. That's how human beings work. People who are conflict-oriented or very outspoken have a higher likelihood of experiencing discrimination. And you might say, well, they're conflict-oriented. It's not discrimination. No. Both things are happening. They're conflict-oriented, so they have conflict. But had they been different, a different person, there wouldn't have also been discrimination, right? So the trope of the angry black woman. deeply racist, right? If I went to work and said, hey, you're assigning me 2 times the work of everybody else, not okay. They might be annoyed by me, but they're probably not going to say, these black women, all they do is run their mouth. They don't care about. They're just gonna shit on me. I'm not gonna let her do it. Right? That's what that trope is. That trope hamstrings the ability of a human being, all black women, to express dissatisfaction or disagreement of any kind, because the minute they open their mouth, racism just comes raining down on them. Right? But if I said it, it's not Vince's a racist slur. It's Vince is an asshole. Guess what? You can be an asshole. You can get away with it most of the time. Somebody might get you eventually, but it's not generally going to be as detrimental to your well-being, your livelihood, your relationships, as people viewing you as a racist trope. Those two things are different. One is far more detrimental. Somebody's going to make the point, oh, it's a matter of degree. Like, you can be really big out. Sure, fine, whatever. The point stands. No one's ever going to choose a racial discrimination over frustration with them for being an asshole. I assure you, because you can just be less of an asshole. Or you can pick your moments to be an asshole if you can get away with it without facing discrimination, right? Once you're labeled a racist trope, inescapable. What you would have to move heaven and earth to become equal again in some way, right? And forever, for the rest of your time, the way that you're viewed at that workplace will be negative, and you'll be treated negatively. And how do you come back from that? Right? We got a bit of far afield here, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, this claim is not dead in the water, but you will need to explain the why. Why is it different for me than it is for so-and-so? For Mr. Depardieu, right? I'm just being silly, but you get the answer stands. If this was helpful, like, subscribe, comment down below, share our channel so it can grow. Take care. Bye-bye.